Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to Stories That Inspire Us. I'm so excited to be here today. My name is Janice, the host of Stories, and today is Friday, July 22nd. You know, of course, in the Northeast, we're in a very a big heat wave right now. And as you can see, my guest looks like she's, loving life. She's got the beach scene behind her. I love the beach scene. So I want to take this opportunity to welcome my amazing guest, Janet White. Welcome to the Stories.
Thank you. So I really appreciate you having me here.
Oh, you are so welcome. And I have a general question for anyone listening right now and those who will listen to the podcast. Have you ever had self-esteem issues, maybe body image issues associated with grief? Let me tell you something about Janet before we get into the chat. She empowers women to be the best versions of themselves. And it really was through a lot of work on her end. So Janet, first of all, empowering women to be the best versions of themselves. For me to say that out loud, like I can just envision and feel the energy of that. That must be amazing.
I tell you, I love what I get to do now. So yeah, I think what happens to a lot of us women is we tend to take on the caregiving roles.
Mhm.
We tend to take care of our kids, our husbands, our friends, our parents, everybody. And we tend to put ourselves last. We put ourselves on the back burner and we push through life, thinking that one day we're going to get around to us. And
One
again,
day.
yeah. And usually a lot of my clients come to me when the day hasn't gotten here. They've either gotten sick, they've gotten depressed, they're drinking too much, they're way overweight, something in their life is happening to where they are like, something's got to give. Things have got to get better. And it's at that point where I say, okay, what do you want out of life? What do you want we get one life. We get just one. This is not a dress rehearsal. You can't, wait until all your kids are grown and your parents die. I mean, that you could die first. You better go after what you want. And so I think just having that spot for them to stop and think what they want out of this life, instead of playing the caregiver, the role take of all the others around. And, like with the silly oxygen mask on your face first, it's silly, but it's real, Janice. I mean, if we are not taking care of ourselves, we're not eating, being healthy, eating right, and, living for doing some self-care, then we don't have anything to give. You cannot give from an empty cup. And so while most of them that come feel like they're selfish. Oh, I know I've got a good life. I shouldn't be here. You're worth it. You should be here. You should be getting a coach. You should be getting some help. You should be seeking the things that are good for you. So yeah, it's exciting when I get to talk to people and they start thinking, and sometimes it's like the first time they've thought of it in years,
And that is so true, that it's the first time that they kind of recognize it. They really realize it deep down inside.
Right.
For them to actually kind of step up to the plate and, put that oxygen mask on. And for you, obviously, people can relate to your specific story. Went through an abusive marriage, had a bout with cancer, but then something happened. Like what was the turning point for you where you're like, had enough of this shit, I need to do something here?
Yeah. It's always a journey, right? It's never just it's not just a one thing happens. I think what happens is you just keep getting wake up call after wake up call. After I finally got out of my abusive marriage, My mom had died. She was my best friend. She was only 59. And I finally got away from him. And then it was like, what am I going to do now? And then my sister died at 50. And I really just had this sense of, and, had already had my own bout with cancer. I had this sense of, life is fragile and life is short. And I have got to do something, to live out my life in a happy, healthy way. I had been using alcohol, to kind of cope after the, death of my sister, especially. Wasn't, I probably didn't drink any more than anybody else. Our society is very generous. We all drink, right? But I just knew that, having a glass, 2, 3, it got more and more every night. It was my way of coping with my stressful job, with my busy life. And when I finally decided to take a break from alcohol, that's when it kind of came flooding in on me. And it was like all the suppressed grief, the PSTD from, the years of abuse, a lot of things happened that I had just kind of been medicating away. And it took me a lot of really some soul searching, some self-development. I did some therapy, just some things to get me to the place of, okay, I want to heal and I want to live a healthy, happy life. And as I started going through this process, this long process, I started realizing, gosh, I'm not alone. There are a lot of people who feel this way. I know they do. And life beats us up. I mean, there's just a ton of, we have all got our story. I heard, I know about your story. I mean, what a terrible story. I mean, we all have things, and it's not necessarily anything anybody did to us. It's just the hand we're dealt. But you have a couple choices. When you're given these choice, when these things happen in your life, you can become the victim, feel sorry for yourself, medicate, and just eat and drink and be depressed and just, do whatever to cope. Or you can move forward and say, you know what, I got to make the best of what I have. This is what's been dealt. I got to keep moving forward. How can I be the happiest I can be? And that's when I think I started looking at things in my life, like what is this stressful job that I'm working all these hours? And, the pandemic hit and I lost my job. And I thought, this is, what do I want? Do I want to go back into that? Do I want to be a healthcare administrator working, 60 hours a week? Do I want to, is that what I want to do? And it was like, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to give back. I want to share. I became a coach, I'm already a nurse. And I thought, there's other people out here. And that's when I developed, the Bliss Beyond the Buzz. And honestly, I think that has been part of what's moved me to keep growing and saying, how can I be the best? And what can I do to help others get there? Because I don't know how. I mean, I feel so grateful to even say this right now, but I probably am the happiest I've ever been in my life, and how people look back, I'm almost 60 this year, and people look back and say, oh, well, back in the glory days, back when I was in college, back when I had these are the glory days.
They certainly are. And of course, I hit my the age of 60 a couple months ago. So I'm right there with you. And what I think is so interesting about you, one of the things that you said is, how can I be the best? And that applied to you in so many different ways. I mean, obviously having the background as a nurse, becoming a coach, which led you to start your online business. I always love to ask, how did you come up with the name for your business?
Oh, it's interesting that you say that, because my sister was very creative, and she had always been my go-to for every, she wrote jingles and she did and I missed her so much at that point when I was thinking about what name I could create. I was like, oh, I need my sister. I need to channel her. But I called my daughter, and I was going through, and I said, I want it to be about the piece after the drinking, the piece after you get through the buzz of having the big jobs and all that. I want it to be, and then she said bliss, and I'm like, oh, and then together we ended up coming up with bliss beyond the buzz. And, I think, I don't know if it actually does capture what I'm trying to do. It maybe limits it a little bit because people may not relate or understand, but I do think that the bliss, that feeling of contentment, the feeling of happiness after you get through the things that, whatever, if it's the stage of life, if it's alcohol, if it's, whatever, that's what I'm going for. So I don't know, that's how I came up with it.
I think that captures what you are trying to do in that positive light, because when you said that, your face like just lit up, like, and you own that. So what is it like when a client comes to you and you work with them, and maybe in a couple months they come back to you and they say to you, Janet, I'm living the bliss beyond the buzz.
Oh, I tell you, that has to be the best, because I had a client who, she's 75 years old, and she was referred through another client, obviously, who had, worked with me. And she, I gave her a couple free because she was a referral. And then she said, yeah, I want to work with you. And she said, I don't have that many years left. And I was like, you've got to make the best of what you have left. But at the end of our sessions, we worked for several months together. And then she said, Janet, you've given me the greatest gift. And I said, what's that? And she said, you have given me permission to do the things I love. And I said, you know what, that is probably one of the best compliments that I could get.
Yeah, I mean, permission to do the things that she loves, and whatever that means to anyone, that is very vitally important. So clients come to you, like, what is the coaching setup and process? You'd mentioned a few referrals.
Yeah. So I have obviously I have a website, and I have, you can reach me through my email, however you want to reach me. But what we do is we usually do a 30-minute discovery. And because at the end of the day, not every client, not every coach, we're not all going to mesh. I'm not going to be everything to everybody. And I think it's kind of a discovery session to where, what are you looking for? And we need to click. We need to get each other, because with the client coach relationship, it's not like a doctor patient or a therapist. It's more of a collaborating relationship, where you come to me and you're the one really with the answers. You're the one who has what you want inside. I can't write you a prescription for what's going to make you happy. You're the only one who knows what's going to bring you joy. You're the only one who knows what your values are. My place is to be able to ask the questions, give you the space, give you the tools to figure out what it is you want, and then hold you accountable to get it done. So
holding them accountable. So you're a life coach, correct?
yes.
Okay. What is the best thing that you like or love about being a life coach?
I love like it's exactly what you said. It's the rewarding piece of being able to hear the coachee say that the clients say that they want to, that they're happy, and that oh my gosh, most of them will say things like, I can't believe that, that I didn't do this earlier, or why hadn't I done this my whole life? Or it's always those things of, yeah, I had this power, it's like I say they're like Dorothy. They had the power all along. They just needed to click their heels to go home.
Or
And
their flip-flops.
yeah, or their flips, definitely their flip-flops. But yeah, so I think that that's probably the most rewarding. There have been, clients that had revelations and made big changes, changed their careers or did some of those things, and those are rewarding. I think people who reach their goals and then it empowers them once we work on a couple little goals together and they see that they can reach that goal, then that gives them not only the encouragement and the power, but again, empowerment to start. And they don't need me forever. They just, you just need to realize you can do these things and you're worth it and you deserve to do the things to take care of yourself. And giving them permission to do the things they enjoy, or giving them permission to take care of themselves, maybe put themselves first for a change.
Mhm.
Some little changes make big differences.
They sure do. And I think for many women, I know for myself, whenever there is, let's say, a goal or a huge life decision that needs to be made, there is a lot of fear in that. And sometimes it just takes those first couple of steps to acknowledge that fear. But for people going for that goal, they realize, okay, there's this big mountain ahead of me now. Maybe I won't be able to go through it. And I've already been through stuff in the past, but I can sure as hell climb that mountain.
Yeah. I think, that's kind of how it was for me with, of course, the leaving was a big thing. But then when I quit drinking, it was like, that is something that, everybody drinks, and being able to just say, you know what, I don't need to, I'm okay without it. And then stepping out of this comfort zone of, this society. If you go somewhere, I can't tell you, I go to a restaurant and, one of those dinners where the wine glasses are never empty. And how many times I had to say no, thank you to the waitress who kept bringing me a new glass, who kept trying to pour the, and it's like, once you stand up and do things outside of your own comfort zone, who would have ever thought that I would have been able to, write a book or to get a social business going on? I had always worked as a nurse and a healthcare administrator and, in a corporate world. It's a big change. It's having your own business is scary. There's not the benefits. There's not the security. I mean, that saying that when they say that if you do what you love, you never work a day in your life.
True.
I get it. I get it.
Yes. Yes. I feel what you're saying there. Now, you mentioned your book, but I just want to back up a second. You lost your job at the start of pandemic. How long did it take for you to do your life coach certification? Because somebody who may be wanting to do that, okay, what is the time involved with that? How much time a day am I going to have to work for that?
So there are a lot of, it's not a regulated industry right now. And so there's a lot of coaches, of coaching programs. I mean, I saw one online that you could pay $7 and get a certificate. I don't really think that that's probably, worth a lot, but the one that I took is accredited by the International Coaching Federation. So that's one of the things. ICF is a worldwide organization that accredits coaching schools. So if you're interested, I think that's one of the things you might want to consider if you ever do want to get accredited by the ICF. I am a member, and that is something that you may want to determine about your coaching program. This one was 8 months, and it took, I think it was like 2 days a week, we actually had lecture and class and practice. There we did triads where you coached different people, and we had exams. We had to put in, we had 2 essays. We had to do the submission of the coaching another person for review. I mean, it was a pretty intense program. So I think, at the end of the day, we got the tools we needed. There was a lot of study that we had, all those things. But I think so when you're looking for a coaching program, if that's something you want to do, look at the people that have been through it, look at what's required. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is.
Yes, as with anything. But I think what's very unique about your experience is with your story behind the story. Okay, you lost your job, pandemic, decided to be a life coach, but you had the life experience of your somewhat tragic story to back you up. Not that we would want anything that you went through to ever happen again, but there was that foundation for you, and people can relate to that.
Yeah, I think that's why I gravitated towards it, because I think you're right. I think people relate to other people's story. And I think that's what draws us in, because, it doesn't matter what education you have. I mean, I have a master's degree, I've got this, I've got that, I've got my certification. But that's why I say the discovery piece, do you connect with that person? Do you relate to them? Because you know what, at the end of the day, people want to gravitate towards and want to be a part of part of someone's program who they relate to, who they get, who they understand, who they feel. And when I say, women, have you been putting yourself last? Are you overworked and drinking too much? Are you, waiting for some magical point in the future to live your life? My clients gravitate towards that. And so they're the ones who are calling me, because they're the ones who are like, yeah, Janet, that's me.
Right. And it takes, and I just want to say to any people out there who are going to connect you, or any of your clients or former clients, that is such a huge step, and they should be commended for that.
Yes.
To step up to the plate and say, Janet, I need help. That's a big deal.
Yeah, and that's a big difference. I think today more and more people are starting to realize, why should just the football players and the athletes and those people and the business executives, why are they the only ones who need a coach to help them, to give them some, help them along their way, and to give them the accountability and to help them meet their goals? What about us? Anybody who, our day-to-day lives, maybe we're not athletes, maybe we're not, one of those people that would typically get a coach, but these life coaches and people who have been where you've been, people who understand what you're going through, can help you and get you on the right track. So I do think it is commendable that people want to take the effort and go and get some help. The other thing is, it's a different sphere than therapy. So whereas therapy tends to, and trust me, there's definitely a place for that. I love my therapist. If I had the time and the money, I'd be there every week. But that person is geared towards people who have, depression and have PSTD, who have some of these diagnoses, if you will. Whereas with a coach, I had one client come and she said, my life is pretty good. I said, well, how would you rate it between a 1 and a 10? How happy are you? She said, oh, I'm an 8. I said, okay, well, great. I was surprised she came, but that's perfect. When she left, she said, Janet, I had no idea that I would feel that there was so much room for improvement, and one of the things she was working on was reducing her social media and she made some big changes in her life. And she said it impacted her whole life. So, it doesn't matter where you are on the scale. This is kind of like from coaching. We're not looking for people who are, have the diseases. I mean, mental health issues. I'm talking about the day-to-day people. Most of us, any of us could use, having someone to talk to, and unbiased, open, trained person to set the space to let you decide what it is you want out of your life. Because, you only get this one. I keep saying it, but it's so true. And it is fragile. We just don't know how long we have.
That is so true. And I know that you just had a book that came out. Can you tell us about your book?
Yes, I'm so excited about it. So, that to me is one of the things that I would have never in a million years dreamed that I would be able, willing, or whatever to do. So it's called Finding Bliss Beyond the Buzz. So bliss beyond the buzz, bliss beyond the buzz, bliss beyond the buzz. But what it does is it really goes through my story, Janice. I don't go into, it's pretty raw. And it does talk about, my toxic relationship. It talks about my cancer. It talks about my grief and all those things. It talks about my journey with alcohol. And then it moves forward into what I'm doing today. And I have a system that I use that kind of keeps me on track. It's a 7-point system, I would call it. And I use a mnemonic called precans. And I take each one of these, PRECANS, each one of these stands for something. And then I kind of grade myself every day just to kind of keep myself on track. So I'm happy to go over it if you want me to.
I want to hear about these free cans.
So it's, basically it's a way to keep yourself. These are the fundamentals of a healthy lifestyle. So the P is for purpose or passion. So we need to know what we want. We need to know what our purpose is or what we're passionate about. The R is for rest and recovery. Many of us go, 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 go. We never take a minute to rest. Our society promotes working hard, working, 60 hours a week and 2 jobs and all the activities. So, rest and recovery. E is for exercise. Can't say enough about that. C is for connection. We can't just stay online just stay inside. We have to connect with one another. We need each other. The A is for alcohol free. Of course, that's my baby. The N is for nutrition, eating healthy. What we put into our body truly matters. And a lot of the diseases and the things that we have is because we are not eating the right foods. And finally, S is for sleep. We underrate how important getting a good night's sleep is. So if you take those and you just write those out, you look at those, and on any given day, you say, how am I doing 1 to 10 in these areas? Some days they're going to be 2s. Some days they're going to be 10s. Same with me. This is a journey. But what you realize is the days when most of them are 8s, or the days when there's a lot of 8s and 10s, are the days that you're the most productive, you're the happiest, and you feel the best. And if you can string together more and more days, so it's just a tool. It's just a tool to help you focus on living a healthier, happier life. I'm still, some days my nutrition's a 2. I ordered the pizza and ate the ice cream. It is what it is. My sleep is a 2. I binged on Netflix and didn't go to bed, whatever. But we're not perfect. But I do think that having something that you look at and think about can help you. It's just a tool to help.
And I think that's amazing. How are your pre-cans can you do? Yeah. I don't know. I think I just did a word jumble there. But anyways, oh my gosh. So Janet, how can our viewers and listeners get in contact with you? I'm assuming Bliss Beyond the Buzz.
You got it. It's Bliss Beyond the Buzz. I have a Facebook page, Bliss Beyond the Buzz. My website is blissbeyondthebuzz.com. Instagram is Bliss Beyond the Buzz. My book and my email is info@blissbeyondthebuzz. So you can email me there as well.
Oh, that is wonderful. And of course, I will make sure that all that information gets in the show notes. I am so excited that you were here today. You shared such an amazing story. Your story has inspired me. I know it will inspire others. So thank you so much for being here. And I hope that you will consider coming back.
Yes, thank you so much, Janice, for having me. I really appreciate it. And you guys can, every Sunday at 8 a.m. on my Facebook, I go live and talk about topics. So please join me there if you'd like.
And is that Eastern time or?
It is Eastern
Okay.
time, 8 a.m.
8 a.m. Okay, got it. So everyone, pre-cans, what does that mean to you? Where is your purpose? Where is your passion? Where is your rest, your recovery, exercise? Are you making those connections? Is there too much alcohol in your life? How is your nutrition? How is your sleep? These are really important things, obviously, going on in our lives. And Janet has come from a place of triumph over tragedy. These are the stories that inspire us. And today, I was inspired by Janet. If you have a story to share that you know will inspire others, please don't hesitate to reach out on my website. Thank you all so much for being here today. Again, thank you, Janet. And remember, thank you. And remember, these are the stories that inspire us. We'll see you again real soon. Bye for now.